Welcome to Race Mighty Live. We are so glad to have you here. I'm Caitlin alongside Tiffany. Week number 2 doing this live Race Mighty Live.
And we are so excited you're here. And yeah, we had so much fun in episode 1, had a great crowd, had great audience interaction. And that's what really this is all about, that we want you to get involved. We want you to get involved in the chat. Today, tell us where you might be racing. I know that our race roll call on our website is filling up, and we had some folks racing this past weekend, and we have some folks racing this coming weekend, and we're going to talk about that coming up in our finish line segment. So stay tuned, because we're definitely going to give some shout outs, and already we're seeing the folks streaming in, and it means a lot to us. Something else that would mean a lot to us, if you have it in you, there's a thing on YouTube called Super Chats. It's a way to kind of donate and contribute to the cause a little bit for our time and efforts, if you wish. It's not obligatory. We are making this free, sharing our knowledge. But if something resonates with you, or this is helpful to you, we would appreciate anything that you want to contribute. But again, just being here, getting involved in the chat, we are grateful for you. So great to see you all on. Great to see the chat starting to fill up. And we've got a pretty good show for you today. We're pretty excited.
We think so.
Yeah. And again, this is just a space for, you know, questions that you might be afraid to ask. It's a welcoming space. We're not here to get into the uber science of FTP and tests and all those things. You know, we want to make it approachable. If you're new to the sport, or maybe, you know, you just want some takeaways, that's what we're here for. And again, a lot of what we do really is dependent on what you ask of us. Contribute your questions. You can go to our website and go to the aid station and ask a question, and we might feature it on the show. Or again, pay attention to our social media. We put out the poll earlier this week on what question, you know, isn't really covered in triathlon. And we are actually, we were challenged with the question of the week.
It was a challenge for someone in our current situation. I'll say that. We'll get to it though.
But that's where you, the audience, will also come into play, and being able to help us answer this question and provide guidance to someone who reached out for our advice and our experience. So yeah, just, you know, so grateful to be here, and grateful to see the races that are popping up. Oh wow, Reading 70.3. Dana, you're adding a lot of races to your list, and then a local Olympic next week. Yeah, it's really cool that we've seen so many races added to that Ironman, or excuse me, that race roll call. And Ironman California, which Dana is doing, is currently our #1 race. So the most people have submitted.
I think we have 5 followers gonna do Ironman California. I gotta admit, that has us really tempted on trying to figure out a way to get ourselves to California. Love it though, I love it. Keep them coming. And I also really like that we're not just getting Ironman branded races, we're getting these local races. It really is the local races that make this sport what it is. I'm wearing my all-time favorite race, the Rookie. It was a small race that was here in Austin. They've since under a bigger umbrella now, and it's not in the same location anymore. But when I think of triathlon and in the beginning of my days, it's the Rookie that I always go back to.
It's funny because the Rookie was my very first triathlon in 2009. That's when it was held at the Texas Ski Ranch down in New Braunfels, and I knew nothing about triathlon. I just got into the sport just to get in shape, and I really went to a race calendar in 2009 and looked for the race near me that had the shortest run. What I did not realize is that it had the shortest run. It was only like 2 miles, but it was also in technically the hill country of Texas. I did not live in the hill country at the time, did not live in Austin, lived on the flat Gulf Coast of Texas. And so
big difference.
When I got to the Rookie Tri and I saw that first hill that you had to climb on the bike coming out of transition, I was like, oh, yeah, didn't train for
awakening
this.
moping.
But it was my very first try. I think we all have those first triathlon stories that are special to us. And yeah, that would also be something great to get the community to share, is like, what was your first race? What was special about it? But we have more topics to talk about, so let's move on to our first big topic of the night. All right, so don't break yourself. That's a thing that as an endurance athlete, as a triathlete, we are constantly challenged with not overtraining, with not training through injuries, with not breaking down our body so much that we can't get into the next workout, the next session, or we arrive at the start line not in the best shape, injured, where maybe we can't train or race at all. So I wanted to talk a little bit about injury prevention and how you can take a smarter approach. Injuries are inevitable to happen, especially if you stay in the sport long enough, but there are ways that you can manage them, ways that you can mitigate them. And the first thing I will say is train at the level you're at. And I don't mean like take your workouts easy. You can still have intensity, you can still have duration, but don't get caught up in trying to do superhero workouts every single time. You know, you have to realize, like, I'm not going to go out tomorrow and run for 2 hours when right now maybe I'm only running for 30 minutes. And so you have to build yourself back into that, and you have to know what your runway is, what your intensity is, and also maybe if you've had past injuries before, you know, what triggers them. If you train with high volume, does that trigger an injury if you do too much intensity? So you have to find that balance. Another thing I will say is get to know a very good physical therapist, chiropractor, medical practitioner, one that you can trust. Because we've heard the stories of doctors that you go in and you have an injury or a niggle or something and they say, well, just don't run. Well, in a lot of cases, that's not always the best advice. It's really not. There are ways around that, and you need to get someone, and there's a lot of people in the medical profession who are triathletes, so find someone that you can trust. And if you don't like that first opinion, go get a second opinion. And really having that relationship with a practitioner is very key, because you're probably going to be seeing them or consulting with them quite a bit. So that's another tip that I would give you. And then this doesn't get talked about a lot in triathlon, and that is strength training, strength and mobility training. Now, we're not talking about going and maxing out and spending hours in the gym. In fact, you can do 30 to 45 minutes 2 or 3 times a week, and that would be sufficient for your triathlon training load. But do the movements that strengthen the parts of the body that maybe get weakened or maybe you need more support from. So like the glutes, the hamstrings, the calves, those are all muscles that could use a little bit of reinforcement. In addition to taking all the pounding that you take in the swim, bike, and run, you need to make sure that these muscles are prepared and strong and will help you be more resilient to injury. And, you know, keep it in check. Don't try to go max out. Leave the ego at the door before you walk into the gym.
I think that's all solid advice, and I think the big key there is check your ego. Not just at the gym, but on social media. We can get so caught up on what everyone else is posting, what their Strava says, what their Garmin app says. That's their workout process. You know, leave it to them. You know yourself the best, and so don't go overdoing it.
Absolutely. And another thing that doesn't get talked about a whole lot, and that's the mobility side of things. And especially when you get to be an older triathlete, you know, mobility is something that you have to do every time before you get on the bike, before you go out to run, before you get in the pool. Do some type of mobility, and we're not talking about a 30-minute session.
No.
Even 5 to 10 minutes of mobility will help get the body moving, kind of that dynamic movement. And we'll give a shout out to Erin Carson, EC Fit. She does a live stream every Monday morning, and you can go back into her YouTube and their archive. This isn't sponsored. She has no idea that we're talking about this, but you can go check it out. And she does some great mobility. She really understands triathletes. She understands the body and the movement. So mix that in. So do 2 or 3 sessions, strength sessions a week, do mobility once or twice a week, and take care of your body and listen to your body. If something feels off, it probably is off. So make sure you take care of it before it turns into a major issue. All right, we're going to move on to the next topic. Somewhere. Okay, so
we did get challenged with this question because fortunately our partner, Tiffany is my partner, I am Tiffany's partner, and we are both triathletes, and we both love the sport very much. So we have some ideas and tips and tricks on how you can work your triathlon schedule in with a partner that might not be so much into the sport. And we thought we'd give it a go here. And this was a question we were asked, and we hope that we're able to give some enlightenment.
And also, if you're out there, if you're watching and you have a spouse or a partner who is not a triathlete, how do you make it work? How do you find that balance?
Yeah.
And we also appreciate the question. It was asked anonymously, so if you feel like you don't want your name plastered out for the world to see, you can trust that we will make sure that they stay anonymous. So,
absolutely. Yeah. So please drop that in the chat if you have tips and tricks on how you work in your household with a non-triathlete. So, but here's our take on it.
Go ahead.
I go first. Okay. First off, be upfront with your partner. Let them know the time commitment, the money commitment, because let's be real, it takes a lot of both of these. And so let's get this, maybe a calendar that the two of y'all share, whether it's a calendar plastered on your refrigerator, maybe it's a calendar in your iPhone. First off, mark down the race you're aiming for, but also put down your training and when and where this training is going to take and how long this is going to be, so that your partner knows what you're going to be doing. Transparency will work wonders, I promise you.
Absolutely. You have to communicate with your spouse. And another thing is like, make sure you carve out time for non-triathlon things.
Yes.
Like, even if they are the most supportive spouse, what you need to do is go to dinner and not talk about your FTP, not talk about your splits.
Dang.
Talk about, life, talk about, a movie you want to go see.
Mutual interest.
Yeah, mutual interest. Now, I would say if your spouse is someone who wants to be a part of triathlon, that's great. Maybe they can shadow you on a long bike or a long run. They can drive the part of your route and maybe hand off a bottle and help you out that way. But, if not, if they don't want to get up at 5 a.m., let them sleep in, let them have the time to themselves. And also, it might involve you as the triathlete planning your schedule where, you have to do an earlier morning workout or workout on your lunch break or in the evening, whatever that does not conflict. But like Caitlin said, a calendar so that, lines don't get crossed. So, I have to do this 4-hour bike ride on Sunday morning. And then after that, we'll go to brunch, we'll go to second breakfast, whatever it is. Make sure that you stay in communication.
And when race weekend does arrive, if your spouse just really isn't into it, that's okay. Your spouse can go and do what he wants to do or she wants to do for that weekend, and you can go go off with your triathlon friends and y'all can have that race weekend to y'all selves. Or if he or she is into racing, race weekend with you, how about if it's a destination, you let your partner decide what y'all are going to do after the race has been completed. If there's any interest, anything going on, any activities that he or she may be interested. And one real quick story.
I knew this was coming.
Yeah. When we first met, Tiffany was training for her first full Ironman, and I was just barely getting into the game. I was not doing the full Ironman, but I was very supportive in every way possible. And one very kind gesture that Tiffany did for me after her race, after she had, crossed that finish line, I think maybe the next day, once we had arrived back home, she had a beautiful gift for me ready, just as a thank you for my support for her, early mornings, late nights, just the crazy schedule that's involved. And it was a nice gesture. And it was a set of pots and pans.
Thanks for cooking for me. Here, cook some more.
But that's my thing. I love to cook, and we still have that set to this day. And it reminds me of that journey that the two of us went on. Even though she was on that race, it was still a journey for both of us.
And I hope that question, I hope we answered that question. I know there's so much more we could say about it, so much more input, but hopefully those are some key things. But again, communication, share that calendar. And again, if you have a triathlon question that you want featured or considered for Race Mighty Live, go to our website, teamsaunderstri.com/ask, and you can submit your question for the aid station. If we don't answer it here, we'll answer it on the website, and we'll have a great pool of resources for future triathletes looking for the same answers, because I promise you, you're not the only one who has that question. And we thank the person who submitted the question for trusting us with that and being a part of the community.
And real quick, David, your wife is a smart lady.
All right. I've talked enough.
Transitions. You might think that, every triathlon, the transitions are going to be kind of the same. One might think that, but actually that is not the case. For the majority of the transitions, yes, you're going to set up everything that you need at your bike. And one tip right there, don't overthink it. Honestly, less is best. Your space in transition is actually quite small. You don't have a lot of room to work with. And if you start bringing in too many things, you're probably going to end up missing some items by the time you get done with your race, because people are in and out of transition so fast. Things get kicked around, moved around. It's just best to keep just what you need in transition. Don't overthink it. Don't just keep it minimal, really. But I do really want to talk about clean transitions. Now, these are the transitions that you might encounter for most Ironman races, World Championship races, and sometimes 70.3 races will have a clean transition also. Now, what this means is that you're not going to lay out your transition items at your bike. At packet pickup, what's probably going to happen is you're going to receive multiple bags. You're going to get a T1 bag and then a T2 bag. Now, your T1 bag, both bags, you are going to drop off the day before the race. And so T1, you just had a fabulous swim. You're going to start making your way to transition. You're going to run through most likely kind of a corral area, and all the T1 bags are going to be there in numerical order. Volunteers are going to be there to help you find your bag. You're going to grab your T1 bag that has your bike, shoes, your helmet, anything that you need for your bike ride. You're going to go to the change tent. You're going to put everything that you need for your bike ride on. If you're wearing a wetsuit, you're going to put your wetsuit back in that bag. You're going to tie it back up, that bag, hand it back off to the volunteers, and then you're going to run to your bike. Now, at your bike, that's the only thing there. It's just your bike. And so you're going to go off on your bike ride, whether it be 56 miles, 112 miles. Whew, I know. Have a fabulous ride. And then you're coming back in the T2. most likely, if you're racing a full Ironman or a 70.3 World Champs, you're probably going to hand your bike off to what we call bike catchers. And then you hand your bike off and you're done with that. And so then you're going to go to where you dropped off your T2 bag the day before. Sometimes it'll be hanging on a rack, and sometimes it'll be kind of in a corral area in numerical order. And there's always volunteers there to help you find your bag. So you have your T2 bag. You're going to go back into the change tent. You're going to sit down. You're going to dump your bag out. You're going to have your run shoes, your race bib, maybe a hat, some sunglasses, whatever it is that you need for your run is going to be in that bag. And then you're going to take your bike shoes, your bike helmet, and put it back in that bag, and then tie it up, give it back to the volunteers, and then you're going to make your way out of transition onto your run. I know that was kind of a quick rundown, and maybe it's kind of like sounding, oh my gosh, there's so many logistics. And yes, there are some logistics, but if you just take it step by step and just maybe write it out if you need to, like have a card, like this is what I'm putting in my T1 bag, this is what I'm putting in my T2 bag, and visualizing it. And actually a trick that we do before we do bag drop off, we always take a picture of everything that we put in that bag, so that when we wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning wondering if, oh my gosh, did I remember to pack this into my bag, we can go back to the picture we took and be like, oh yeah, it's there. I can go back to sleep, even though you probably won't go back to sleep.
Yeah, and 2 good points. First of all, we got the comment that our Ironman bag video, yeah, that's a good way to see it in action. It's on Instagram. It's one of our reels. We actually dressed up as the transition bags.
Yes.
But also, Caitlin did a really awesome transition video for if you're setting up transition at your bike. She goes through everything you need, talks about what you don't need, how to lay it out, how to get in and out fast. And even if you don't want or care to get in and out fast, you do want to know where everything is, and it's important to be organized, not override someone else's space,
Right.
and because you only have so much. And yeah, Colin was right, leave the bucket at home. So hopefully that was a good explanation of transitions, and I'm sure we'll be talking transitions in this show several times from here moving forward, but hopefully that gives you a breakdown of the different types of transitions.
Wow. How does this happen?
It goes really fast. Like 30 minutes is a blur. Like we talked a lot, and now we're in the final 5 minutes of the show. And again, we extend a huge thank you if you joined in, but we're not done yet. We've got some good things and some good shout outs to share.
We do. We do want to shout out to who raced last weekend. They put it on our roll call, so we do want to give another shout out to Larissa Womack. Womack? You have to let me know if I'm saying that incorrectly. But Larissa Womack and Janet Higgins, they both did the Chattanooga Riverfront Triathlon. I believe they both did the Olympic. And from what I saw on Instagram, it looked like y'all had the best time. And really, that is really what it's about, is having a great time.
And it's hard not to have a great time in Chattanooga. So a little bit jealous. Maybe we can put it on our calendar for next year. Like, this is also helping us kind of figure out what races we want to go to and try out. And yeah, we've done 70.3 Chattanooga so many times.
We do love Chattanooga.
Like, I'll be the first to say I love an Olympic distance race, and there's just not a lot of those around us, and I am willing to travel for Olympic distance races. So yeah, congratulations to Larissa, and congratulations to Janet for having a lot of time out there, for sharing their race, and hopefully they had a good time out there. I'll get the words out eventually.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, also, our really good friend Kristen Center Brown is doing the Firecracker 4-miler in Lake Jackson this coming weekend. So shout out to Kristen. I hope it's a great run. We know it's going to be hot, but
Yeah.
You know what you signed up
that's
for.
what a Firecracker 4 is supposed to be. And yeah, Kristen, actually, we'll give a little extra shout out, a little extra background. If you've ever heard us talk about the story of how we met, how we were doing a triathlon relay and the runner dropped out, well, that's Kristen. She dropped out, but she said, don't worry, I have a mutual friend. So here we are, what, 14 years later?
Yes.
Mutual friend, thank you for the setup.
Forever grateful for you, Kristen.
Good luck at your Firecracker 4-miler on Saturday. And that being said, the race roll call is open to you, to anyone. Go to our website, go to the community hub. There's a race roll call page. And if it's a triathlon, a duathlon, Xterra, we've got an Xterra race on there, a running race. Put it on there. We want to build this community.
Right. It doesn't have to just be triathlon. We want to know what you're doing. And if a run race is what you're doing, we want to hear about it. If you're swimming around the Keys, we want to hear about it.
Yeah, and again, it gives us ideas for maybe races that we can do or where we can go spectate, and hopefully connects folks in the community. You know, you might not know the 5 people, other people that are racing Ironman California, but you can go click, if they've provided their Instagram handle, you can go follow, add them, and then you can have your own meetup. So that's exactly what we're trying to build and cultivate, is a community, welcoming, supportive. I know there's a lot of communities out there, but there's a lot of, you know, bragging about FTPs and, you know, how long my workouts are and how many hours I can train, or we just want this to be welcoming.
Speaking of gatherings, though, I think David is trying to start something here, maybe trying to get us all to Galveston in 2027.
Huh. You know,
it's not a bad course.
It is. It's good. It's windy, but it's about as beginner friendly as you can get. So I don't know. Maybe we'll make a TST Galveston group. I don't know.
What do y'all think? Let us know.
Yeah, who would come to Texas to race 70.3 in Galveston? I'm assuming it's in April. I haven't looked at the calendar yet, but
end of March, early April.
End of March, early April. Not a bad place to be.
No, it's not.
Let us know. I don't know. David's already registered. I don't know. How
many times have you done Galveston? Y'all are gonna be surprised by this.
8 or 9. I honestly have forgotten. I did it like 2010, 11, 12, 14. I don't know. I did it a lot in the early years. I haven't done it as much in the last 3 or 4 years, but I do know Galveston. So potentially. So this is how it starts. We just kind of plant the seed, and now it's all I'm think about for the rest of the night. It's like, how can we make Galveston happen for the TST community? But
it's because of y'all right here.
Stay involved, y'all. Go check out the community hub on our website. Join us next Wednesday, 7:05. I mean, I know there's a big game tonight, so for those of you who joined us, we thank you for doing that, but we hope we bring some value to the sport of triathlon and can help you out in your journey.
Yeah, so let us know what you think. As always, you can find us on all the socials, so hit us up with anything you got. We are here for you.
Thanks for watching,
Thanks.
and we'll see you next week.